My name is Ron Masters, and I'm the Director of Research at Tall Timbers Research Station. Fire is the common theme that undergirds all the research that we do at Tall Timbers. It goes from the game bird program to vertebrate ecology, ornithology, forestry, fire ecology. It's a common theme because fire is an important process. It goes back to, dates back to the legacy that Herbert Stoddard left when he came to the Red Hills in the 1920s. Herbert Stoddard and Ed Komerak, you've got to take your hat off to them because they were persistent, because they were fearless, if you will. Herbert Stoddard, in his memoirs, wrote about an occasion where he was invited to speak to a professional meeting, the Society of American Foresters in Jacksonville, Florida. And so he went and spoke, and he had one of the more prominent addresses, so it was well attended. And as he began to speak, he began talking about the benefits of fire, you know, for the longleaf pine, for the whole ecosystem and that sort of thing. He was actually booed down at a professional meeting. He actually had to leave the stage because nobody wanted to hear what he had to say. But he said, looking back upon it, it was one of the proudest moments in his life because he stood up for what he knew that science was showing. Even when people were choosing to ignore that. For example, a lot of people think that the heat from the fire will actually harm the soil, cause erosion and things like that. But what happens is it actually creates a nutrient pulse. The litter is combusted and ashed, and it actually creates a nutrient flush that immediately is taken up by the plants, and it goes into the ecosystem and is recycled into animals and things like that. Mr. Stoddard, early on, when he began the Stoddard fire plot study, indicated that intuitively we knew that the plant community was going to change. So, but perhaps that the most benefit that would come out of a long-term study, such as the one he was establishing, would be the effects on the soil. And he thought about that in the 1950s. He was aware of the impact that fire had on the soil, but he didn't necessarily know what that was. Tall Timbers was, like much of the Southeast, when it was acquired and made a research station, it was old field land that had been previously farmed, disced up, you know, corn, cotton, the whole 9 yards. But one of the things that we're about at Tall Timbers is restoration. So we know that historically longleaf and wiregrass once occurred over much of Tall Timbers, not all of it, but in big extensive areas. So this is one of the plots where we're using some of the lessons we've learned from the Stoddard plots to restore, doing some thinning. This area has longleaf. This is actually natural longleaf that's come in, and we're trying to restore it in a natural way, capturing natural regeneration. And then we've also plugged in wiregrass, as you can see, and then we've modified our burning regime to where we're burning on about a 1 to 2 year interval, and we're burning in the growing season, primarily in June. And one of the reasons we do this is because that's when the, quote, lightning fire season was in Florida. And wiregrass is one of those species that will not produce viable seed unless it's burned between May and between August. So it's important. It's adapted to growing season fire. And so part of the restoration is restoring the process and not just the plants. We champion the cause of fire, and we champion the cause of wildlife and of intact ecosystems. But Tall Timbers has a unique position in the coastal plain of the South, and actually in a national perspective as well. When others were ignoring science and saying that fire was bad, Tall Timbers was the ones who manned up, so to speak, stood up and took it on the chin, and would not back down from saying this is what the science says. We're a science-based organization. That element of science would be gone. That part of management on the landscape would be gone. So I'd say that we would be missing a lot if Tall Timbers wasn't here.